go. So let's kick it on over to the game board state, as we do wind up having, unfortunately, I forgot to change all of the names of everybody, so we are just going to wind up fixing that for a second while we get the game underway.
Okay, so you had 2 lands, consign, tribal flame.
It looks like that I was unfortunately given the wrong deck list and the wrong setup for the bracket. So it's actually John Wang who is going to be over on the right-hand side playing the Domain Zoo matchup. So we will be getting all of those life totals and everything up to date for everyone. And nobody has any wins in this match quite yet. And we're going to have Domain Zoo over on the right, and we are going to have not just Guide Control, but Mardu Energy over on the left.
What do you want to do? No blocks. Take 4, 12.
No, sorry, you said no blocks.
No blocks, yeah. Could be.
I'll take 3 and I'll do the 15.
So you're at 15 as well? You're at 15 now.
It's alright. I'm gonna do the whole shebang here.
Yeah.
Get you for 5. 15.
Okay, I will take 5.
It looks like we are going to have just a bunch of damage coming across here, as 5 damage will eventually be taken here. We had a couple of other kind of shocks and swings going on. So it looks like Grant was going to be taking the 5 damage down. There's going to be a Tribal Flames to clear away that Ocelot Pride. And if you are just tuning in, you're realizing, hey, how come Ocelot Pride is being played in the Jeskai control deck? And why did you call Christian Grant? Well, that is because we are still updating our overlay, and things should be fixed here, as Grant is the Boros Energy side of things, and John is on the Domain Zoo part here, as we saw the Tribal Flames being cast for Swamp, Island, Mountain, Forest, Plain, so exactly Domain. We are just going to have Guide of Souls now hitting the battlefield. This is going to be a very big thing for the energy deck. You really want to have not only the life gain, but also the energy generation that Guide of Souls is going to be granting you in order to wind up kind of coming into fruition here. This is being thought about by a very long time here. It looks like there may have just been a passing of the turn afterwards, but unfortunately it was fixing the records and not hear what the players were talking about. And it does look like, yes, it did wind up going back to John's side. Looking to declare attacks. And then just double checking on Guide of Souls here, because it says whenever you attack, you may pay 3 energy, and when you do, put 2+1/+1 counters and a flying counter on target attacking creature, making it an angel. But it does look like there may be a judge call coming across here, and John may wind up wanting to get some clarity on Guide of Souls, so we'll bring that one up on our screen as well, just to get a quick little read of it again. This 1/2 here says that whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life and get an energy. Now, there is 1 energy on the battlefield already. That is from the Aether Hub that we saw Grant playing a little bit earlier while I was setting up the rest of the overlay of everything. Whenever you attack, you may pay 3 energy, and when you do, you put 2+1/+1 counters and a flying counter on target attacking creature to make it an angel in addition to its other types. John now does have the Territorial Kavu over on his side. And now this should just be a 5/5, I believe. We have Island and Mountain from the Steam Vents. Blood Crypt gives us Swamp, and then Temple Garden is the remaining ones. So Territorial Kavu will be swinging in as a 5/5. And this is attack trigger. Grant may have a response here, which is maybe what John was asking about.
Yeah, I guess after responding, you choosing. I will ration a bonus.
Okay. So you're gonna get 2 triggers.
Orcish Bowmaster will enter. Yep.
You get 2 triggers.
Yeah, this is in response to the choosing being done. So this could be discard a card, draw a card, which would then get an additional trigger from this Orcish Bowmaster. But looks like maybe Bowmaster v Bowmaster?
I'm gonna consign both triggers.
Oh no, consign to memory.
Yep.
Discard.
Yep.
Huh?
Bowmaster will trigger off that.
No, yeah, okay. That's true, I guess.
I'll get an Orc Army.
Looks like John may have thought it was similar to Dress Down, but does not actually shut the ability off.
Energy.
Yeah. 12.
So that is going to be creating energy, gaining a life over here.
Discard, draw.
Draw. Yep. I think you have
We
the
just-
card in hand when that resolves, anyways. But
Oh, okay.
because you have to draw the card for Bowmaster to trigger.
Yeah.
So if you want to respond to it, you have the card in hand.
Grant just saying that you should have that card in hand with the Bowmaster trigger on the stack if you want to do something else, such as potentially responding to make sure that the energy does not get created from the Guide of Souls. Instead, just resolves everything. Arena of Glory hits the battlefield, and John's going to pass that one back over to Grant. We saw this Arena of Glory do some great stuff when compared with Scion of Draco and this Territorial Kavu in a previous round that John was able to snag off of that just for Xaxis Lethal. And we'll see if that Arena of Glory is going to be up to the task again.
Oh, yeah, that's true. You don't I draw again. Okay, I wasn't thinking about that. Whatever. Doing away with worthless cards anyway.
Play Bloodstained Mire.
3 cards.
3 cards.
All right, we got a Bloodstained Mire, and then just a quick tally of how many cards are in Grant's hand. Looks like it's going to be 3.
On the fetch.
Sure.
Just quick fetch. Looks like just going to be grabbing Basic Mountain. Grant with a grip full of cards has a lot of things that you could potentially do, but we'll have to see what it is that he actually wants to do.
I'm going to cast a Galvanic Discharge targeting Kavu.
All right, so getting a bunch of energy, we're going to Galvanic Discharge and try to take down
Combat
the Kavu.
for 2.
Yeah, go to 13.
13. Do you want to be back at? Do you want
Just a quick swing in for 2 there, as there's no more energy to kind of trigger the Guide of Souls. And so that's going to be 13 for John.
I'm going to cast it on Nixilis. No casualty.
What does it come in at?
3 loyalty.
So Ob Nixilis, the adversary.
I'm going to make a double.
This quickly comes in with just 3 loyalty. Not going to be
Infinite energy.
activating the casualty effect of this one. And as I noticed, we do have Boros energy for Grant's deck, but it is Mardu energy, as noted by the fact that we have Ob Nixilis and Orcish Bowmasters in play. So just going to make sure that I have that one up to date. It was Boros on the deck list, unfortunately. But as we see, black cards aplenty coming on down for Grant. So that's going to be something for him to worry about as he just ticks down, makes a devil.
White, green, black, red, blue. Leyline binding.
And that will generate an extra life off this Guide of Souls and an energy. But now we have a Leyline binding coming in, and it looks like it will be going after Ob Nixilis, the adversary. So that's just going to be a devil, an energy, a life, and then passing the turn back to John.
You're at 12, I'm at 13.
Agreed.
We got 3 mana coming into play. See if this Arena of Glory gets exerted or if it's just going to be tapping for mana. Going into the tank for a while on this decision is John. Now, this is the top 8. Untimed rounds. Is just going to decide to cast this Territorial Kavu. So Kavu enters the battlefield. Once again, going to be a 5/5. Looks like John's big decision there was, do I exert the arena and swing in immediately, or do I just play the Kavu and wait for a trigger? Just going to be land go coming out here from Grant in the meantime. They have Tribal Flames also eating away this Guide of Souls. And now we got a 5/5. It is going to wind up going after the Exile choice here from John on that kind of dual choice modal mode from the Territorial Kavu's attack trigger. And Grant looks like they're just content to go down to 7 off of this.
7-13, yeah. I'll fetch down to 6.
All right, so Grant cracking the fetch goes down to 6. Just going to get us a Surveil land, so fixing the top of our deck. I think 1 card in hand there for Grant, as we did see John just buying Gigantha, so that's last card in hand for John is just that face-up Elk. Both players pretty low on resources at this point in time. Looks like a static prison on the top of the library from Grant.
Oh, you're thinking?
I'm thinking, yeah.
Grant just clarifying that he is still thinking about this card that is on the top of his library.
I mean, it's good, but...
Now this will potentially clear the Kavu away momentarily, but it will only be for up to 3 turns.
Static in the graveyard. Go to my turn.
So he is just going to wind up putting that one in the graveyard and then taking his turn. Signaling that there may be a different answer that he has in hand to this Territorial Kavu. Instead, Amp Raptor.
Gain 2 energy to 3.
So it's going to spin the wheel. We get 3 energy. That could be an Obnixilis.
Cast that card by paying amount of energy equals mana value rather than paying its mana cost. Casualty X, a copy of its relative. As you cast this spell, I guess I'm going to ask the judge. Yeah. Judge.
And then also we're going to get a quick judge call on if Amp Raptor, since it allows you to cast it, you can then casualty your Obnixilis, because Obnixilis' casualty will give it a copy with X counters on it, where X is the number, the power of the creature that was sacrificed to it.
Sorry, can I read it for sure? Yeah.
So that means that if you sack the Amped Raptor, you'll get a 2 loyalty Obnixilis, and you could, in theory, get 2 Devils.
Casualty just asks that you're casting the spell, which you are.
I'm casting it.
So
yeah.
you can pay Casualty X. Yeah, there's just
Judge Charles just clarifying that casualty only cares about that you're casting it, not where you're casting it from. So that's a hell yeah from Grant, as he's going to be able to casualty this Obnixilis if he so chooses.
Yes, I will be casualtying.
So the Devil, when it dies, will ping for 1, but only make a 1 loyalty Obnixilis. Instead, just going to cash in the Amped Raptor. Should be cashing in his energy as well. That's a cool way to copy your Obnixilis with the art token. All right.
I'm going to plus the Obnixilis.
All right, so Obnixilis copy is going up. So each opponent loses 2 life unless they discard a card. And if you control a demon or devil, you'll gain 2 life. So Grant's going to go up to 7. And John electing not to discard his Gigantha. And then just going to do it again. So we're going to start flipping life totals here. 10 to 9 in favor of Grant all of a sudden. And the swing in with the Bowmaster means that we're going to put John down to 8. All right, so all of a sudden, Grant just kind of swinging things massively in his favor off of this casualty Obnixilis. As I mentioned with that Amped Raptor, should have 0 energy now.
I'll haste this out. Yep.
All right, we're just tapping 5 mana, and we're throwing down the Elk. Gigantha hits the battlefield for John. This is not the first time we've seen him hard cast that Elk either. And this is going to be an exerted arena of glory as well. So this is going to be rumbling, stumbling, bumbling.
It's just flage. I don't think that matters.
All right, just going to exile a card from the graveyard off of this territorial Kavu trigger. Does not want to discard whatever it is that he has in hand in order to draw a card. And this is lethal, so we got to force a block here.
Block the one that is attacking the copy.
Okay, looks like they're swinging at individual Obnixili.
7.
So we're going to save the copy. We're going to ping John down to 7 off of that Devil Death.
End of turn, I'll fetch down to
Then Grant should wind up going down to 9 here off of this fetch.
I'm at 7.
I believe that Orcish Bowmaster was not blocking,
really don't want to draw the Sacred Fountain.
which is why the other Obnixilis died.
What's the? It's -2 to. Or
-2 to
make
create a devil, yeah.
And now we're going to have to see what can we wind up finding from Grant's side. We have an Obnixilis. We're no longer going to be getting life off of that. We can make a devil, but we're just really on Bowmaster and Obnixilis versus 2 5/5s. And whatever John has in hand that we know he didn't want to discard.
I will make a devil.
All right, so we are going to have the devil being made just to preserve some life total. If John has Tribal Flames, that would be very dangerous for Grant. You just take one hit from this 5/5, Tribal Flames is dead.
Could you
I
spend?
spent the energy on the Obnix. Agreed.
And John just reminding Grant that you got no energy left. You amp Raptored that Obnixilis into play.
Factual.
Turn passing over to John. Now we're in the tank. We have to think to ourselves, what can we do from this point with 2 5/5s that neither trample, but we also do have this Territorial Kavu attack trigger. And it looks like at this point John is looking through Grant's graveyard, thinking that Flage is something that I might be worried about.
Sorry.
You have
So getting rid of all sorts of graveyard fodder, taking a quick look
5.
at Grant's
Damage to you with the devil.
Or
list.
I'm at 6.
There are 3 Flage, but no other real shenanigans with the graveyard besides a Singleton Chthonian Nightmare. That may be something that is on John's radar.
Well, yes, if it's going to do anything.
All right, and John just hard casting a Leyline of the Guildpact here.
Untap and draw. I will plus.
And it looks like at some point John, cracked a fetch, going down to 6.
I'll play a March Flats.
Flooding out again.
It's a
All right, so Leyline of the Guildpact being hard cast here from John not only just gets the card out of hand, but this means that all those creatures will be all colors.
Next card, Scion.
So if you wind up top decking a Scion of Draco, you wind up then being able to, not only can you exert it to immediately attack, but you're going to give everything flying, trample, hexproof, etc., which could just be lethal here and prevent Grant from just kind of doing shenanigans with just one Singleton blocker. It looks like
You don't have arena, right?
no arena.
Okay. What can you do that is instant speed? Galvanic
the
doesn't
Grant
really-
attack? It looks like Grant attacked here, and John a little confused about that one. What could Grant have at instant speed?
Raven's too small. Don't worry, this is Scion, so it doesn't.
The survey says not a lot. Galvanic just charges one. Exercise? Is that a sorcery?
Alright. Does it get haste?
Exercise is a sorcery.
Actually, I don't even need to do that. We're dashing.
Ooh, and a dashed Ragavan off the top.
Oh, yeah,
This
you
is
do
a
have,
lot of attackers that are coming on in from John's side. I don't know if Grant has enough things to get in the way of this.
attack trigger.
You get an attack trigger, you get to exile something,
Let's get Bob here.
get rid of our Planeswalker, why the heck not?
I do have the Bowman.
Yeah.
King Ragavan.
Second Bowmaster pings down the Ragavan, creates us an Orc army. So we have 2 blockers now, and we got a double chump. All right, Grant is alive.
I'm going to fetch.
And at the end step, we get a fetch, putting Grant down to 3. And this is just a game of inches at this point.
Oh, yeah, bolts. Sorry, I'm putting bolts.
Is there a way that Grant can win the game this turn?
So I think you gotta.
I'm taking a look at Grant's list. No real direct damage available.
It's probably pretty much a
We have,
for him.
we do have a singleton copy of Goblin Bombardment,
Actually, having the mana to cast and escape Flage is the relevant piece here.
which is not quite enough at this point. I mean, we make a devil. We could stack that. We could swing him with the Bowmaster. That would be 1. Devil dies is 2, 3. Bowmaster dies is 4. You're 1 short. And we know that there's only 1 card left in Grant's hand.
I didn't think I was going to have a chance here, but now I got to think about it.
Oh. Oh no.
It's not, you're at 5, so I mean, you don't need a ton to get there.
Sounds like another Obnix list. You're getting. Sounds like you're playing 3.
An Ocelot Pride would be something that gives City's Blessing.
Oh no, you just played the 1.
But that might not trigger in time for Grant to survive. And that's only if you've gained life this turn.
Plus Ob for 2 damage.
So I'm at 3.
All right, Obnix list ticks up. Puts John down to 3. And is Grant just going to pass the turn? I mean, the only thing he could have here is a Bowmaster at instant speed.
Now I'm scared.
I'll pass the turn.
I'm also scared.
This is it. I think either I win this turn or you win next turn. I think is my guess.
John basically saying what we're all thinking here. Whoever gets the next turn could potentially just win here.
Alright. Not a Flage. Not a Scion.
What could you possibly have? For you're not. It's another Bowmasters. Bowmasters chump. Bowmasters chump. I go to
John just kind of going over the motions in his head. What could it be? Bowmaster's Chump, deal 1 damage, gets John to 2.
I see. It's gotta be.
Obnixilus discard. That will be enough.
Okay, let's say attack. You play Bowmasters, you shoot me, I go to 2. You double chump.
Then you got to keep that card in hand, John. Cast that card. You don't attack Obnixilus. Obnixilus survives. That's 2 to your face.
You didn't make another blocker. That's really suspicious. What else could possibly be in your list?
What else could there be, John? This is what happens when I don't have a co-caster. I just start talking to the players and they can't hear me.
Okay, so let's do Bowmaster. But you didn't attack with this Bowmaster for some reason.
What's your life total right now?
I'm at
John's list has direct damage in the form of Tribal Flames and Lightning Bolt, so neither of those probably are the draw if we have both players at 3.
Bowmaster. We went through 1.
There's 1 in there. So 1, 2.
Okay.
I mean, permission spells are the worst ones here. Stubborn Denial, Consign to Memory.
But why wouldn't you attack?
If you draw with that Kavu trigger as well, that's going to be pinging you for 1 off of that Orcish Bowmaster.
There's no.
No main deck fatal pushes from the side of
It is
Grant.
Bowmaster, and you go up, shoot. Probably deadish. Attack at the Bowmaster.
All right, John declaring attacks, gets the Exile trigger from the Kavu.
Am I right?
I have a Bowmaster. I will shoot.
So he got its second Bowmaster. The exact card he needed. So we get shoot, double block, or block. It's 2 chumps. John down to 2. And then John had to keep that card in hand because of the Obnixilus trigger.
I will make a double.
Oh, this is super scary. John at 2. Bowmaster can attack uninhibited.
I'll tell you after the game. I'll pass the turn.
And Grant is passing the turn.
I'm at 2, right?
So John's at 2. Top deck bolt.
Okay, I agree with that.
It's a red card. He's got it. Lightning bolt takes the game. John going to be taking away a super tense game number 1 here in the quarterfinals. Domain Zoo able to go up 1-0 over Mardu Energy.
And then I could draw a
Binding.
and I could draw a bombardment or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I didn't attack.
That makes sense.
And like I beat some things and lose to other things, but that was the logic at least.
Yes, makes sense.
Good game.
I was like both players just kind of going over the lines that they had in their heads there, and John was able to just top deck the card that he needed. Grant was able to top deck the card he needed the previous turn of the Arkish Bowmaster, ping John down to 2. John had to hold on to the card in hand so that we couldn't just get the Ob Nixilis to end the game right then and there. And then top decks into a lightning bolt. Oh. Damn it, that's how the rest of these quarterfinals are going to go.
Precise things we're thinking about.
I'm going to need a heck of a lot of water, that's for sure.
I'll be on the play, of course.
This means that we're going to have the Mardu deck on the play, though. And now that we have both deck lists in front of us for the top 8, we're going to get to see now. Start off with Grant. Going on the play after losing game number 1, Grant's sideboard has 3 Damping Sphere, 2 Fatal Push, 3 Nihil Spellbomb, 3 Obsidian Charmaw, 1 Static Prison, a copy of Wear Tear, Cast into the Fire, and an additional copy of Exercise. Static Prison seemed not too bad against the deck that is playing a ton of creatures. Nihil Spellbomb, not the greatest, does kind of deal with Flage, but you may just wind up exiling that instead with, Static Prisons or other types of effects. Obsidian Charmaw, this deck from John, doesn't have a ton of basics in there, so Obsidian Charmaw could potentially wind up blowing up a land, but it's not really going to get the mana cost reduction coming in. If anything, I think we're just going to see a couple copies of Fatal Push coming in from the sideboard, and that might be it. Maybe the other Static Prison or the Wear Tears, you can kind of shut off the Leyline of the Guildpact. Now, that may wind up being maybe the Exercise as well, because that could destroy an enchantment or an artifact. It does very good things against the Scion of Draco as well, especially if it doesn't have X-proof from it. Probably going to be looking at maybe taking out some of your not so great interaction spells. I mean, we have 4 copies of Thoughtseize. If you're putting in removal spells that deal with creatures on the board instead of hitting them in your hand, it could just be a very easy swap, like 3 or 4 Thoughtseize out for that. The Recursion with Chthonian Nightmare may still be something that Grant wants to run. That all depends on what John Wang is going to be bringing in from his sideboard. We saw the Companion Giganta, 1 copy of Damping Sphere, and a copy of Soul Guide Lantern, 1 Surgical Extraction, Celestial Purge, Consigned to Memory, 1 Stubborn Denial, 3 Pyroclasm, 2 Wear Tear, a copy of Vanishing Verse, a Thraben Charm, and Veil of Summer. That may have been one too many. It looks like there's a cross out through the Damping Sphere, so I think the Damping Sphere is actually no more, and that is the last card being the Veil of Summer from his list. Surgical Extraction if we're worried about potentially taking the Flages away, or if we want to wind up getting rid of Ocelot Pride if we can kill it very early on. We, of course, have the Celestial Purge, pretty good against red and black cards, of which we have a lot in Grant's deck, but most of the cards are going to be white, so we might not see that one. But Pyroclasm and Vanishing Verse may be big cards here to deal with the mono-colored engine cards coming out from this Mardu Energy deck, hitting away things like Ocelot Pride, gets rid of things like the Ajani before it flips, gets rid of the Guide of Souls, and can also get rid of things like Goblin Bombardment if we need to. And then as well, 3 copies of Pyroclasm. This is the matchup you're bringing it in for. You're making a lot of low toughness tokens, but you're not necessarily pumping them up all too high. So you might wind up seeing a couple of the things in the list that might be biting the bullet here is if we are looking at what Grant is doing, he is on the ringless version of the Mardu Energy deck, not able to run it the same way the Boros deck is, and you want to put in those Bowmasters to punish opposing rings instead. So you could be taking out the 2 copies of Consigned to Memory that John has in his main deck, could be taking out the singleton copy of Bone Crusher Giant. That would just be an easy swap out for the 3 Pyroclasms, and then any additional cards from there. We could maybe see some of the lower cost interactive spells like Stubborn Denial or something like that coming out from John's side, as it does look like players underway already. It's turn 0 Leyline of the Guildpact though coming out from the energy from the domain deck, as we do need to pump John's life total back up to 20, and that is going to be just a fetch land and pass from the side of the Mardu Energy deck.
Keep on top. Go ahead.
I'll fetch.
19.
Just a quick surveil, keep on top there from the Domain Zoo deck, as Grant's going to be fetching and surveilling in and of himself, as it looks like. Quick tap down to 19. What's our surveil? Looks like a land. Arid Mesa hits the bin. Turn back over to Grant. Draws for turn. 1 and 2 mana spells are very important for these energy decks. See if Grant winds up having a pivotal 2-drop, or if he just wanted to get that surveil and then plays a 1-drop. Looks like there is going to be a shock coming in here. So 17 for Grant, and this might be Ajani.
I finally did it. I have
Nope,
this in the,
it's Bowmaster.
I actually have this card in this.
All right, John says, I finally did it. Scion of Draco hits the battlefield on turn number 2 with the Leyline of the Guildpact in play. So that is going to be a big old 4/4 that only costs 2, and it's going to have a plethora of keywords attached to it, none of which really care all too much about this Orcish Bowmaster that Grant is thrown onto the battlefield in response. This is basically going to be giving our Scion Vigilance, Hexproof, Lifelink, First Strike, and Trample. All right, so we got Guide of Souls into Amped Raptor. So this is going to wind up giving us a lot of energy. This gives us 3, which can hit anything in our deck. The Nihil Spellbomb actually coming in here from the side of Grant. So really worried about some of the cards in the graveyard that John could have been packing. Mostly just Flage. But just wants to get that one out of there. So we get a Spellbomb. That may just wind up being a card that we draw later on. But this is going to be a swing for 4. Grant going down to 13, and John going up to 23.
Oh, that's right. So you're 14?
14, yeah.
Oh, sorry, 14 because of the 1 life gained from the Guide of Souls. Because we went Guide of Souls into Amped Raptor, not Amped Raptor into Guide of Souls, because we wanted the extra energy.
Sorry, man.
Oh, Jesus.
Is this Pyroclasm?
That's a dead board.
That's a dead board, he says. Oh no, the Pyroclasm out of the sideboard from John Wang cleans up what Grant has doing. All right, now you're going to be in desperation to rebuild mode. It looks like you do have Amp Raptor and Guide of Souls, though, so that's a start. Probably the best place to go when you're starting from nothing.
I've got another Guide of Souls.
Another God of Souls, another Amped Raptor. We're going up to 13, 3 energy,
3, up to 5. And
5 energy, thanks to the 2 that we get from our Amped Raptor.
Amped Raptor.
What are we flipping?
It's a prison.
Static Prison, but there's Hexproof.
Prison. Oh, sorry.
Stubborn Denial. That's going to be a perfect answer here from John. He kept those in after all. That's just going to be a clean counter spell thanks to this 4/4 Scion of Draco.
I'm going to go to 22.
Now, Grant really needed to get rid of that Leyline of the Guildpact because that would turn off all of the abilities on the Scion. So you still have a 4/4 that could just attack through you, but at that point, your opponent's not gaining life. There's no flying. Most importantly, it gets rid of Hexproof, so your follow-up removal spells will be able to tag that.
I might need it. Just so much time for 3 games.
I'm going to do this. Go to 21.
Alright. So you got a Plains off the Arid Mesa.
Yeah, this one. I'll just get the try.
Alright.
Deck thinning. Deck thinning at its finest.
Deck thing at its finest.
Tells me if I can beat this damn Scion, I might have a chance, but willing to deck thin and get a tap land already.
Alright. Something good.
Draw step.
Passes the library back on over afterwards, and now we get a draw.
Don't you dare. Takes 4,
There we go, just another attack.
25. I'm gonna crack the spell bomb and draw a card.
Yep. Me,
And then I'll untap and draw for turn.
So we bought Gigantha, passed back over. So John with a lot of interaction and way to protect what he's doing with this Scion Leyline, but
25 to 9, agreed.
not a heck of a lot that's going on. Oh, sorry, 25 life, not 27. But not a heck of a lot going on if you're just buying Gigantha and tapping out for that. So, ooh, there is another Static Prison in hand. So Grant could be looking to maybe clean up the board by Static Prisoning the Leyline and then throwing down that second Amp Raptor. But we gotta be careful because the Static Prison is going to be using energy every single turn. Oh, and it does look like I unfortunately lost the life counter. I need to recharge that one after this round, so I will be paying close attention to life totals here. So we're putting 2 counters on the Amp Raptor. That's going to make it a 4-3 Flying Angel.
Kill the dude. What else can you do that's damage? Why you would throw your Guidasouls in there? You can't. You haven't
But
played
this,
your
so
lane.
Guidasouls
What's
has
his
to attack
face?
for this to happen.
Plage. Yeah, we figured it out.
Actually, Guidasouls does not have to attack for this to happen.
5, 2, 3, 4, 5, on the 20. Oh boy.
Waging me?
Grant says, oh boy, down to 20, takes the 5. And there's the Ajani coming out. All right.
I'll gain. I'll shortcut to 2 life and 2 energy.
Yep.
Up
Sure,
to
11.
11. This guy turn off. Oh, I may have died on us. Well, that's a good thing we have a paper track. What am I for?
Yeah, pointing out that the iPad did unfortunately die. But Ajani Nactal Pariah hits the battlefield, so with it, another creature gains 2 life, gets Plum Energy. Now Ajani looking for some cats to die in order to flip.
I've got a lot of life. Okay, next card was a.
It's a good idea to fetch.
Yeah. I'm not supposed to.
Let's say John is going to fetch, at least down to 19.
It shouldn't change your decision, but you can look. Would you like to shock it as well? Down
Yes.
to 17?
17.
11, 17. Do you want to tell them that this guy died, or want to tell them that the pad died? I don't know if they care, but we got a life total.
Thank you.
The tablet died. Luckily, we were taking paper track anyways, so.
Please, thank you.
17, 11. Sergio.
17, 11, agreed.
Did wind up going out to grab the pad so I could try to charge it before we get the next round.
Okay.
So bear with me for a moment while I find a charger for this. Which looks like may unfortunately be outside, so just gonna be taking a look at what's going on over here.
Go do attacks.
Yep.
All right.
No blocks. Down to 7.
Grant's gonna be attacked down to 7. Looks like there was a shock coming in from John as well. Should be at 17.
9, 10. Am I doing that math right?
I would count onboard damage as 10.
Land and Kavu gets cast here. So let's do a quick
Yes.
check here. Looks like every single type of domain. I think just Indotha Triome and Steam Vents in and of itself should turn that on. So casting the 2 mana 5/5 instead of the 5 mana 5/5, probably a good idea from John's side.
Not a high life total.
7 is not a high love total.
That's okay.
These untapped.
Yeah. Game 2, I'm up a game. Are you two done?
And while these things are happening, it does look like other matches in the background are finishing up. So we do have a couple of updates from some of the other tables. Brian Wang, #1 seed on Espergorios.
Good, yeah. Okay.
Wound up taking down Christian Sanchez, who we saw barely scraping into the top 8 with a final round 6 win. That was Espergorios from Brian Wang taking a 2-0 victory over Christian's Jeskai deck.
Pay 3 energy
Oh, okay.
to put 2 counters on.
So 4?
4 in the air.
I'm at 13 is what I have.
Agreed.
All right, so we got John down to 13. 4 in the air coming on, swinging in. Looks like that was with a cat token as well.
And you're casting Amp Raptor.
We get another Amp Drafter in the battlefield. All right, get some more energy. Decide if we want to cast something.
Grinding newspaper. Then I'll start spinning the Raptor. Not an arena. I'll take a Bowman though.
You get a Bowmaster.
Down to 2 energy. And then it'll enter and trigger. Oh, that's so awkward. I don't want to kill my cat, but he's too big now.
Grant just letting us know that, oh, I cannot kill my cat to flip my Ajani because I unfortunately have made it too large with my Guide of Souls.
I'll gain 2 life.
Have you at 10?
All right, so we get
10? This is close.
2 more additional life, getting Grant up to 10. It looks like we shoot John in the face for 1, so 10 to 12 should be the way that these life totals look.
Which brings me back to 4.
No, from those entering.
From these entering, yes.
Okay.
Then it's your turn.
I'll go to 11.
11, there's a fetch. It's getting close because it feels like you've drawn a lot of air.
I have drawn a lot of air.
And I
I'm aggressively deck thinning.
have drawn a lot of Amp Raptors.
A lot of 2-for-1s.
2-for-1s, baby.
There have been a lot of Amp Raptors this game, a lot of 2-for-1s this game.
Am I doing that math correctly?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 first strike damage.
John just kind of contemplating what he's got here. 6 first strike damage is more than 5 domain from this territorial Kavu.
Speed removal spell pretty hard.
Just cut me to 1 then.
Alright, alright. We're living.
Grant says, for now, we are living. And the turn does get passed back over to John.
This guy has a flying counter and this guy's a flying counter because they have the Guide of Souls counters.
Yeah, so there's 2 flying counters on those creatures with +1/+1 counters. So that Scion of Draco, not uninhibited with attacking. So it does have flying in and of itself.
Mountain.
So we're just going to see land Gigantha.
They don't have attacks. Doesn't look like. Right? Those guys are first striking flyers, right?
This is a first striking flyer, this is a first strike on the ground.
Go ahead.
And just the pass back of the turn here from John. Can't get over this first strike damage. These Amp Raptors with tokens and claws and everything just being a little bit too powerful.
Leyline
Making sure Grant pays for that energy trigger. Ooh, Flage and Ajani in hand. Is that game? No land to play both of them. But Ajani Legend Rule. Is that enough? The flip side of Ajani will be able to deal damage equal number of creatures you control to any target, not just cats, just creatures in general. So a flipped Ajani is 100% lethal.
2/+1/+1 counters on this Amp Raptor. Attacking for 12 in the air.
There's 12 damage in the air, so this Scion has to block.
Block feels poignant.
I will block.
And there's no first strike on that cat, so the cat's gonna die. Ajani's gonna flip.
So these will trade, but Johnny will trigger.
I will stifle the trigger.
Oh, consigned to memory in time, so that's going to stifle this Ajani trigger.
Down to 3. I've got another Ajani.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, Ajani number 2 is going to be enough for Grant to even things up at 1 game apiece.
I have this is my land.
Just lands?
This is what I drew.
And John just said, look at all these lands that I drew. All right, so that is going to even things up at 1 game apiece here. We do have some updates from the other quarterfinals. This is going to be our last quarterfinal. It is still going. Meanwhile, we did have John Hubbard, who was playing the Boros Energy deck, winning 2-1 over Joel, Joel was playing the Hammer Time deck. And then Wenhao was playing against Francisco, who was also on Hammer Time, and Wenhao wound up taking that one. So Amulet Titan and Boros Energy advancing to the semifinals. That's going to be a face-off between the two of them, and then the winner of this matchup is actually going to wind up going up against, I believe... Oh, no, I'm sorry. It is going to be... The winner of this match will go up against the Amulet Titan deck, and then we wind up having the Esper Goryo's deck going up against the Boros Energy deck. Now, while these players continue the sideboard, I will be right back as I make sure we can charge the life total counter for next round.
And I was aggressively tech thinning too.
I know you were fetching, you were doing the right things, but... Whew. And I almost won game 1, holy shit. Okay, I need a new piece of paper.
So I'm just gonna plug this in behind you.
Sure. No worries.
Go to game 3.
Game 3. What do you want?
Wow, people waiting for us?
In the aggro deck matchup?
Already gone over.
You gave us 90 minutes, and I think we're...
Taking up, we want screen time.
Use 90 minutes.
We're using screen time.
I'm just saying we would be in time in a normal round of Magic.
Really? Holy shit.
So this whole.
Oh, well.
I didn't think we'd been playing that
90
slow.
minutes.
Yeah, I didn't think we were, like,
No,
every turn had
We've gone to, like,
decisions.
turn 13, like, both games. Like,
Yeah.
it's been some real games.
Good luck, good luck.
Have a pass, man. It's our problem that we're here waiting for you. Our problem. Okay, nobody make it their problem.
Oh, Sam, yeah.
On the draw.
Yeah, I'm gonna play, I'm thinking. Let me send this back. Keeping?
Thinking about it.
I haven't been able to play a single limited RCQ this season.
I think I'm gonna mull.
Yeah, join me.
Never keep one-landers, kids. Never keep one-landers. Even if they look so juicy and you can cast 4 of the 6 cards,
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Just freaking mulligan. Oh, fuck.
A very reactive hand. I was like, I don't know if this is what I want to do in this matchup. I was just like, removal, lands, and I was like, I kind of want to be, I am kind of the control. I don't know, we're both
We're both mid-range, right? So like,
Yeah.
we can both do either. You presented the deck to me backwards, and now I gotta undo them.
Oh, sorry, man.
No worries. I should have realized before I jammed them all in there.
Broken sleeves or no?
I don't think so. I'm looking through everything.
Which is kind of sad because I can't be sacked.
Yeah, okay.
And both players shuffling up resolving mulligans is joking around with the judge just a little bit.
How did the other matches go? I know.
Oh no, how did they go?
Let's see, Wenhao beat me, Hubbard beat Joel, and I think Brian won as well.
As I mentioned, this is the last quarterfinal that is happening right now.
Everybody.
The matchup.
They're not allowed to start until you guys.
Oh, if you want to let the people who aren't waiting for us.
Good luck, John.
Thanks. Good seeing you all. Yeah.
Alright.
Good luck.
Both of us mulliganing.
Yeah. Well, you have more 2 for 1 tonight, yeah.
Okay, well, you're
Yeah,
first.
I'll keep.
Okay.
It looks like we got things underway. Gonna be hopping on over into game. You see John Wang now on the play. Going to be just grabbing ourselves a fetch land and passing, and we are going to wind up seeing a Nihil Spellbomb cast off the swamp here by Grant. So continue to keep those in and fearing the Flage. And it looks like that we are not going to have any shocks or anything, just a Surveil coming in from the Thundering Falls.
Unless you're just hiding. Oh. Unless you're just hiding the strength of your deck.
You know what the deck does.
Yeah, that's why that.
I kept 6. I can explain later, but.
Okay. It's real.
Alright.
Just a pass back and a draw.
No land, eh? Nope. I've got an Arid Mesa. I'm gonna fetch and shock.
Oh, is that no land coming out from John? So we get a fetch and a shock, meanwhile, from Grant down to 17.
Oh my gosh. I got a 2 draw.
They're all good.
They're all pretty good. I do. I'm casting a Ajani.
There's the Ajani coming back into play.
Go to the trigger roll.
Lightning Bolt is going to come into effect here as Trigger goes on the stack. So no flip Ajani, just going to wind up having a token.
Go ahead.
Oh boy. Untap, keep, draw.
Game is different than all the other ones. 1, 2.
Plain Arena Glory. I will.
We're getting an Arena of Glory, all right.
Raptor. Enters, I'll gain 2 energy.
We get 2 energy, we get our Amped Raptor. That finds an Ocelot Pride as well. This is looking super good for Grant.
Yep. 17.
Your turn.
Draw.
So it does wind up eating a Lightning Bolt, however, but John, again, no land there, and we're just cashing in this Nihil Spellbomb to draw a card now, not afraid of anything. I wouldn't be afraid of a deck that wants 5 types of mana with only 1 in play either.
Back for 4.
Grant now just coming in, swinging down for 4. And John just draws and passes again.
16.
Grant on 16, John on 15.
So 4 draw subs plus a survival.
I'm sorry, mate. That's not how I wanted our final game to go.
Kept the 1 lander.
John saying, hey, I kept a 1-lander. It's on me. Bowmaster hits the battlefield. That's going to be another 1 down for John.
Bowmaster token.
It's 2, 4, 6. John's at 14. Another Amped Raptor. Arena of Glory that one out. Gets John to 6. Plus whatever you find off the Amped Raptor. We got 3 energy at that point.
6.
All right, just 6 and pass. That's a Flage. It's not mana. John scoops it up. That's good game. Grant is going to be taking the match 2-1. Unfortunate mulligans, unfortunate draws for John Wang, and our 7 seed is going to be taking down our 2 seed.